Welcome, we are live. I've just been doing some pump up music, so I'm really feeling it. Feeling the vibe. High vibration is what it's all about. Welcome to Liberation, a 30-minute masterclass. Look, I'll try to stick to the time limit, but I've got so much juicy content to share with you about achieving food freedom. How do we create a way of eating that supports our emotions, especially this time of year? Comment below if you too are feeling the intensity and the high demands of our emotions and our stress systems. A little bit in fight or flight, let me know. At this time of year, there's just like for me, and honestly, please let me know if this is you. Comment, let's chat. I feel like December and Christmas, while there's so much joy and magic, there's also that element of looking at the things, whether it's the events, the people, the job tasks that are currently happening in your life, and asking the question, do I want to bring that forward into 2024? So in December, I feel like all this stuff is just swept up from under the carpet and making us look at it and say, that person or that relationship or that behavior or that emotional eating tool that I've been using, is it working for me? Is it supporting me in the person that I'm aiming to step into in 2024? And that's what I want to help you with today, is look at what are the things that you need to implement and how we can support you to really get to your goals in 2024. It's a great thing to create goals. I love a good goal. A goal, fun fact, setting a goal, setting a plan gives you a dopamine hit. So in your brain, when you set a goal and you make a plan, your brain goes ding, 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 and it gets all these like neon lights going, flashing, and it gives you a hit in your reward center. And then what happens is we don't stick to the plan. And when you make a promise to yourself and you don't keep it, it physically creates pain in your brain. And pain in your brain is pain in your body. So you're hurting yourself when you don't see that through. So rather than making really shallow common goals, like I want to do 5 pull-ups or I'm going to lose 5 kilos or whatever it is, I really encourage you to sit down and dive into making intentional goals. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more in Liberate, which I'll mention throughout the masterclass today. But make really intentional goals for your year next year, making sure you have the support to implement them, the accountability, and you've got that infrastructure around you, because if you don't, you're going to really hurt yourself. Yeah, and it's just going to create that guilt and turmoil that I'm sure you're already aware of, because we've all been there where we've created a goal and it just has not eventuated. So with that said, today we're going to be diving into the 3 key concepts of what it takes to liberate yourself from emotional eating, which includes stress eating, and really to achieve food freedom. And so we're really looking at the 3 concepts that are preventing you from achieving those goals that we were just talking about. And a large part of that is losing the weight. Like everyone's like, hey, I want to get fit and lose the weight in 2024. Amazing. But what does it take to actually see that goal through and achieve it? And in the meantime, create a positive relationship with food and with yourself. This is such an evolution of self. It's not just about the food. I often say that your relationship with food is a really good reflection of your relationship with self. So if you're finding that you're being really like scattered with the way that you're eating and what you're eating, I would also look at the other areas of your life and see, hey, is it scattered? Am I just picking up the pieces and I feel like the snowball is just rolling and I can't keep on top of it? And look at how your inner world is really a reflection, reflecting and projecting into your outer world. So we've got 3 key concepts. The first one is diet. How do we balance your diet on a plate? So we're looking at the structure, we're looking at the foundations of your food to really support that optimal fat loss. When we support that, we go into our second point, which is our hormonal health. So once you can have a balanced way of eating that supports your hormones and your hormonal health, which includes your stress system, again, this time of year, super, super important, that's when you can become a fat burner and really shift from that brain fog space, that overweight, that fatigue, that heaviness, to that clear, vibrant, and energetic self that you know yourself to be, but you just feel like you can't get there. That's that component. And then lastly, we're going to look at what it takes to cultivate a really positive, supportive relationship with food and yourself, and what it takes to really liberate yourself from that emotional eating component. Now, I really want to start, the reason why I created this masterclass was because I put a poll up on my Instagram, and I asked the question, is fat a feeling or a fact for you? And it was the most responded poll that I've ever put up. So many people responded to it, and over 95% of people said that fat was a feeling. And I find that really interesting that, again, going back to goal setting, going back to the next 4-6 months of our lives, where this is really where we try to reinvigorate and create that self that we've always desired to, that we're looking at the numbers when we're losing fat. We're looking at what are we eating, we're looking at how much exercise can I do, what I'm eating, what calories am I putting in, and the components of that. And yes, that is super important. I'm not saying that that's not important, but you're working on 5% of the picture, which is the fact that you're fat. That's only about 5% of the picture. 95% of you said that fat was a feeling. So if you're only focusing on this part, which is the facts of being fat, and you're not working on the feeling of being fat and changing that, transforming that, alchemizing that, the feeling of being fat, it won't matter if you lose fat. It won't matter if you lose weight, because you still feel a certain way. And so that's the gap for me. That's the gap that I can support you in, because yes, if we just nailed the fact part and we just nailed it yes, this is your plan, you're going to go away and you lose weight, sure, awesome, it would work. But you lose 5 kilos and you still feel fat, what was the point, right? So that feeling component, that's where the game-changing part is. I just recently broke up with a client, and in the most beautiful way, right? We've been working together for a year, and they came in and they had this fear of food and this anxiety around eating out, and there was no freedom, and it was all emotional eating, and there was all this stress around eating. But the goal was to lose fat. So over the course of a year, we worked together, and they broke up with me. Had they lost weight? No. But they lost the feeling of being fat. They lost the feeling of being fat. They no longer felt fat. They felt free with their food choices. They felt incredibly energetic and in love with their lives. Over that course of that year, the relationship with their partner got better. The relationship with their work got better. And yes, we worked on the foundations, which is your diet and structure and the food, but also we supported stress systems. We supported the relationship with food. We navigated that. We dove into that. And that's the part that shifts everything. So if you're going to make a goal for 2024 and your goal is to lose fat, I really encourage you to not just make the plan for physical, but make the plan what is it to you that makes the difference between feeling fat and not feeling fat? Because that's where the work is. Yeah, again, this person, they didn't lose any, they may have lost a couple of kilos. I think they stopped weighing in the end because they felt good. They felt strong. They felt light. They felt joyful. They felt connected in their life. They felt connected to their work, to their partner, to their children. Like, how incredible is that? That in the course of a 12-month period, that can happen. And there were challenges, but the feeling of fat dissipated. And that's the goal, okay? Because this is science, right? But this takes diving in, it takes dedication, it takes commitment. And we're going to dive into that more, drum roll please, in my one-on-one 4-month container called Liberate. So today we are launching that. It's very exciting, and it's a 4-month container where we can support you. So stay tuned to the end if that's resonating with you and you're like, yes, I need some more support with the feeling of being fat and really diving into and dissipating that. So let's get into the actual structure of today's masterclass, which is the first component is your diet, and looking at how you can balance your diet for optimal fat loss. So when we're looking at this, we really want to look at, one, how is your diet not supporting fat loss? 2, the feeling of being fat. What is that? So the most common reasons that you can't lose weight or that you are feeling like the emotional eating is a bit out of control is stress, right? When you're stressed, or you've got poor sleep, which equals stress, you've got high cortisol and inflammation. When you have those things, you have bloating and excess water retention. You also probably have a lot of brain inflammation, which can lead to brain fog. And so that's that feeling of being fat, right? That inflammation, that fogginess, that heaviness, that toxicness within your body. If you are eating food that is creating that inflammation, exacerbating that inflammation, then again, that's not going to be supportive. So when we're looking at a diet that is supportive of losing fat, but also, again, second point, hormonal support, it's one that is even Steven. I like to call it even Steven. So if you think about the generic Aussie diet, which is like toast or cereal for breakfast, that's mainly a sugar, and there's nothing to ground you in that. Like, I really want to look at, like, when you're feeling that heaviness and that anxiety and that stress, you're high flying and there's nothing to tether or ground you into yourself. Tell me if this is resonating, because again, we're mirroring and we're marrying, the feeling and the facts. So we're vibing, we're flowing. But when you consume a diet that's rich in carbohydrate, that's mainly a sugar. So that cereal and that toast is full of carbohydrate, which turns into the sugar glycogen within the body. And that shoots your insulin, which is a hormone, up. So your blood sugar level rises and you need to pump hormone insulin out to carry it through the body to be utilized. So what happens over the course of the day is if you've got a really carbohydrate, sugar-rich diet, which includes sweeteners, then what will end up happening is your blood sugars rise and then you drop them with your insulin and your activity. And then you eat your muffin and your coffee and they go up again. And then again it drops and then you go up because you had a salad sandwich and then it drops. And then by 3 p.m. you're craving chocolate, sugar, you're feeling a bit stressed, a bit foggy, a bit icky, maybe a bit bloated, lethargic, achy, really common sign. And then you go home, your plan was to go to the gym, but you're just feeling so crap, you're just going to skip it because you're just too tired. You go home, you eat your pasta for dinner, maybe some chocolate after dinner as well, and you're just done. You like want Netflix and chill right by the end of the day, because what's happened is you've gone on this roller coaster ride, bing, 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 and there's no structure or foundation to it, nothing to ground you. So if you were on a roller coaster all day, how would you feel? You'd be feeling pretty like scattered, pretty wired, pretty like I don't know which way is up or down. And this is what hormonally is happening into your body. So with your diet, in order to create a solid grounding foundation from which to grow from, we're needing solid protein in every single meal, right? Protein shake for breakfast, eggs and bacon, something that's like protein and fat rich, because that doesn't elicit a blood sugar response, okay? Carbohydrate is what elicits a blood sugar response. So protein, fat, something really grounding, you're not triggering anything at the beginning of the day. So really even Steven. And then again, that's going to carry you through to lunchtime usually. So you want things like chicken, good quality meat, grass-fed meat is best because it contains all 9 of your essential amino acids that you must get from your diet in order to thrive. If you do not have all 9 of your essential amino acids, your hormones, your ability to burn fat, your energy production, your hair, your skin, your nails, your mental health, your enzyme activity, your digestion, all of that starts to crumble, okay? The amount of times I get people coming in 2 weeks after increasing their protein intake saying that they've lost weight, that they have more energy, that they're sleeping better, that their mental health better. And that's 2 weeks, right? So protein is queen here. We really need to focus on that at each main meal to ground you and to provide you the foundations of what you need and is required to thrive, okay? Not even thrive, to survive, right? Once you then have that in place, you've got some good quality fats, you can be what I call smart with your carbohydrate consumption. And that we dive into more in Liberate, the 4-month one-on-one container. So really looking at what on a foundational level your macronutrients look like on a plate, how to balance that out and ground you within your eating is so important. Once you've got that, you can then start to explore the next step because we want to get healthy to release the extra weight, right? Not lose weight in order to get healthy. I really want that to sink in. I want you to get healthy so you can release the weight that you're carrying, not lose weight in order to get healthy. Weight loss does not equal health. And that comes back to that feeling, right? Like we want to feel healthy. We want to feel strong. We want to feel confident. We want to feel grounded. We want to feel safe. We want to feel supported. And if we can support ourselves to feel those things through our diet, you're unstoppable. You are unstoppable, okay? So that's queen. Diet is queen. The second component of that we build on, right? So that's supporting your hormonal health to release the weight. Now, this is where we look at your macronutrient components. And our main macronutrients, little quick educational session, are proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Alcohol is also a macronutrient, which is really important to understand, and that's because your body stops most unimportant functions, including digestion, in order to process it because it sees it as a toxin, okay? It's also empty calories. Alcohol is like a separate topic, a separate masterclass. So with regards to that, your 3 main macronutrients, protein is foundational. You require, if you don't eat protein, you don't live, right? It is a requirement. You have to have protein in your diet in order to survive, okay? Fat, again, so protein is the structure and the function of your body. Your hair, your skin, your nails, your enzymes, your digestion, your mental health, your cognitive function, everything that you see and everything that functions in your body requires protein. Really need to bang that in. Protein centric, okay? Really important. Second thing, fat. Fat is also really, really important. Most proteins come with fat. Chicken comes with chicken skin. Eggs come with the yolk, okay? So most proteins all proteins come with fats. And fats are incredibly important for absorbing our fat-soluble nutrients, A, D, E, and K. Okay, so if you don't eat fat, you will become deficient in those nutrients, which then affect mental health, bone density and function, your immune health, your mental health, your hormonal health, your ability to lose fat, ability to create energy. So fat's really important, really, really important. It's also an energy source, right? So fat is an energy source, and that's what gives us this vibrant, stable energy. And then you've got glycogen or carbohydrate. So carbohydrate, brown rice, flour, fruit, sugar, etc. That is a really fast source of carbohydrate. So that's the one that's going to go burn real hot real quick, but not last. And so if you don't have that foundational fat burning aspect of the fat, yeah, so fat is like a log on the fire, it'll just burn happily all night, then you're going to feel pretty awful. Again, the sugar component is what goes up and down like this. So from a hormonal aspect, if you have too much carbohydrate going around your body and your tank of carbohydrates, so to speak, is full, or you're eating the wrong sorts of carbohydrates, then that's where you start to put on fat, okay? And this is where we can get really sticky with our inability to lose fat, because if you start focusing on calories only, but you're eating a heap of carbohydrate, it's not likely to work long term, okay? So carbohydrate is actually not essential. If you did not consume any form of carbohydrate, your body could make it through a process called gluconeogenesis. And so I really want to hone that in, because from a hormonal perspective, a grounded perspective, and we want that grounding again for our emotions, our stress systems, reducing inflammation, we want to be very smart with our carbohydrate consumption. And that's where a really good structure of your diet can be very supportive. And again, we'll dive into that into the program Liberate, where we can really create a unique structure for you in your lifestyle and how you live, because everybody is a unique individual and no two people are the same and no two people have the same requirements. So really, really important. So when we're looking at the hormonal aspect, we look at the diet component, the hormonal aspect of it. We want to create that stable foundation by focusing on proteins and fats in every single meal, and then adding the carbohydrate in if you've done an intense workout, or if you have a very labor intensive job, or you have kids that you're running around with all the time, then that's where we can really get smart with that carbohydrate consumption. As women, I think we do need a little bit, like we can get a little bit more playful with our carbohydrates. We need to be a bit more specific with them, because our hormones are more sensitive to them. And depending where we are in our life stage, you know, whether you're pregnant, breastfeeding or not, whether you're an athlete, your requirements change. Some women do better with them only at nighttime. That really supports their hormones and to feel safe and to sleep. Some people do better with them in the morning. Some people do them better with them after a workout. It's just really playing with that. And in Liberate, which is a one-on-one 4-month container, it's a really amazing opportunity for me to get to know your body, because we're working one-on-one over a 4-month period. I can understand how life changes, waxes and wanes for you, and start to really make those micro pivoting and micro tweaks that can make a massive difference over a period of time. The biggest mistake people make is that they commit to their goal for a month or to 2 sessions or even to 6 weeks, right? The change happens when you commit to yourself, you devote to yourself, you dedicate to yourself forever, for a long period of time, okay? And you know, that can be baby steps, but when you're not devoting to yourself day in, day out, and you don't have the support and the accountability and the structure and the go-to for that, that's where you can feel unsupportive. That's when the guilt starts to creep in. That's when the emotional eating can start to creep in, because you feel unsupported. And when you feel unsupported, because you're the mama, right? Like, you're the person in your household that holds all the balls. You're the one juggling. Who do you get to go to? Who supports you, right? And I really want, like, if you don't have that support, it's extra hard. I get it. I got 3 kids. I get it, right? It's, if you don't have that go-to person that you can say, hey, this is going on, what should I do? Or I don't know what's going on, can you just help me? Then that's when things start to crumble. Because life gets busy. Life is busy. There will never be a point in your life where, unless you move to an island and you become a minimalist and you decide that you're not going to work and that you just live off the land and that, which is awesome, like dreams, that would be amazing. There's never going to be a point where life doesn't happen. So we need to be able to create and support ourselves with the tools, the emotional eating tools, to support ourselves through that time, right? How do we support and ground our diet and our emotions and ourselves, and how do we support all of that through the busy, emotionally intense and demanding times, which, if you're anything like most people I'm speaking to, now is one of those times. And so having those tools to go to and that education, support, and accountability, that is queen and so needed. Give me a yes and a thumbs up if you agree, in order to create long-term success. So the people that I see get the most success and that get to their goal are the people that are like showing up when it's good. They're the people that are showing up when it's not so good. They're the ones that are asking questions. They're the ones that are making the micro pivots, the dedication, the ones that are like falling off the bandwagon and then saying, how do I get back on and go faster and improve, right? So this is a growth period rather than just a thing that I do and then don't do when the wheels fall off. That's the gap. That's the difference. Committing and devoting even when the wheels fall off. So this has all been a component of the last thing, which is your relationship to food and self, okay? How do you treat yourself when things are emotionally demanding, when life is stressful, when life is demanding? How do your food habits and behaviors change or remain the same when life happens? I would be super keen to know. Do they stay the same? Do you have a foundational approach to eating that pretty much stays the same even when life happens and life gets demanding? Or when shit hits the fan, does your diet do the same? Does your inner critic, your mean girl, whatever you'd like to call it, I call mine the tyrant, does it get really loud in your head when life gets busy and hard and demanding? And how do your eating and your food habits and the way that you treat yourself and speak to yourself, how does that change when life gets tough, right? And how do you navigate that? Do the wheels fall off and you just say, stuff it, I'm done now, okay? So these are really important components to look at, because if we're not looking at, it's easy to do the thing when life is good. It's when life gets tough that we need to look at how we're supporting ourselves from a diet and emotional perspective. And that's that relationship to self. So from my perspective, seeing hundreds, maybe more, thousands of women in clinic, what I've seen is that your relationship to food is a reflection of your relationship to self, especially at this time of year, when your emotions can be intense and your stress levels affect your eating behavior and you put on weight or you just feel that fat, right? You feel downright bloated and fat in your body. Your pants are tighter, your chest is even tighter, things are just not feeling good. How is your relationship to yourself reflected in your food behavior and choices? And I really love you to answer that question. And then from there, we can make a plan to help you work on that. So if you have any questions, I would love you to pop them in the chat box. That would be amazing so that I can see if you've got any questions or comments. If this is resonating, let me know. Now, what do we do about this long term, right? Like, what's the gap? What's the difference? How do we support ourselves to liberate from emotional eating and create that food freedom long term? And this is why I've developed Liberate, the 1-on-1 4-month container. And what it is, it's a one-on-one program. So it's like you get me in your pocket to message. You can Voxer me. We get regular fortnightly sessions to work on you, not only on your food structure and the diet and supporting on you on a nutritional and physical level, but there's also a game plan to support you on an emotional level. Let's support you with the emotional eating tools. And boy, do I have a toolkit of them, because I lived with this for 20 years and I don't live with it anymore. There is a space that you get to be where it feels like home, and it feels like confident, and it feels comfortable in yourself and in your body, where you feel free and you feel fit and you feel energetic and you feel like you're thriving. You get to be in that space, and it only comes through dedication and commitment to your health and yourself, and diving into the emotions that are there and not avoiding them, which is what you're doing when you're emotional eating. Okay, so if you are finally ready to see your goals to the end, if you're finally ready to release yourself from emotional eating, to achieve that food freedom, if you find like it's easy to commit for a month, but by week 5 you're like dabbling in it and you've lost your momentum, your stickability, then this program's for you, because it's in the micro moments of your day-to-day life where you find navigating all of those emotions, the disappointment that you haven't seen it through. That's where the change happens. And I've found that accountability and support is the gap. That's what gets people through to achieving their goal. And it doesn't happen from 2 sessions. It doesn't happen from dabbling in it. Like, you've really got a long-term commit. And for that reason, I'm going to be really picky about who I let into this program, because we're going to be working quite closely together for 4 months. And I really want people who are ready to step into the true selves that they know themselves to be. If you're ready to do the work, if you're ready to commit, to see it through, then shoot me a message and we can have a chat as to whether this program is good for you, whether it will be supportive of you, and just find the best option for you. It's really a pathway to achieving not only that food freedom, but really anchoring in that true self that you know yourself to be. It's about stepping up into that person. It's about liberating yourself from all of the old habits and behaviors that are no longer serving you. If you're finding they're really coming up now in 2020, like now in December, and you're seeing all these things that you don't want to carry into 2024, then write them down and let's work on releasing them for you for kickstarting your year in 2024. And what I've found as well is that liberation from food cannot come without commitment. It cannot come without dedication and devotion to yourself. And once you have that, once you've got your own house in order, that's when you get to freely give back to your loved ones, right? That's when you can anchor into who you are and serve from that space. There's no more pouring from an empty cup, which as mamas and as women we do. We people please. We pour from an empty cup. We say yes when we want to say no. And I don't want that for anyone anymore. That's what leads to that feeling of fatness. That's what leads to that feeling of heaviness. And when we can liberate ourselves from people pleasing, from behaviors that aren't serving us anymore, from emotional eating, and we can step into that confidence, that grounded knowing of who we are, and stand up and be like, you know what, this is who I am. I'm going for my goals. I'm committing, I'm dedicating to them, and I'm going to do the work. That's when magic happens. That's when food freedom happens. And you get to just create this life that is magical and that you look at and you're like, how did I get here? So if you feel like that this is for you, if it's resonating, if you want to have a chat a little bit more, send me a private message and we can have a chat as to whether it's a good fit for you. I do have a special little bonus. So if you do book in, let's say for the next week, if you commit for 2024 in the next week, I have got a 6-pack of emotional eating tools and videos to gift you as a bonus. So if you do lock it in now, that 6-pack is for you, and we dive into like all sorts of topics like gut health. We talk about the emotional eating toolbox that I have, lots of juicy stuff which I can let you know about. But first, send me a message and we can book in a call to see if it's a right fit for you. Yes, and if you have any questions, pop them below. Alrighty, I hope you have the most beautiful day. Thank you for being here and thanks for listening, and I hope you got so many juicy things out of it. All right. Happy day.